So Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist Anthony Joshua has decided to turn professional, and he has signed with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport. I'm glad that he signed with Eddie Hearn and not with Frank Warren or any of the other UK promoters, because I think Eddie Hearn is the most stand-up promoter, the most stand-up big-time promoter in the UK. That's what I would say. I think he's much more trustworthy and much more straightforward than someone like Frank Warren, who's an oily, slippery, slimy snake, an egotistical piece of shit, to be honest with you. That's how Frank Warren is. So yeah, he's signed with Eddie Hearn. I think that's a good move. He'll get a lot of exposure on Sky and what have you. He might not even make as much money with Eddie Hearn as you know Frank Warren was promising him, but I just like the Eddie Hearn outfit better. Now I'm interested to see who's gonna manage him and who's gonna train him. I'd personally like to see him with one of those experienced old school American trainers, because they're very experienced with heavyweights. Guys like Phil Torrance are still around. You know, he trained Riddick Bowe and what have you. You know, there's still a bunch of very good American trainers out there who have trained heavyweights, have a lot of experience with heavyweights from the 90s and stuff like that. I'd like to see him with one of those guys. I'm not sure if is Curtis Coates even still alive. I'm not even sure. Forgive my ignorance right now. But if Curtis Coates is still alive, I know he's a very old man. If he is still alive, but if he's still training fighters, you know, Andy Joshua would be great with Curtis Coates. And in terms of management, I would actually like to see Adam Booth. I know I've got my separate criticisms of Adam Booth as a trainer. I've got my separate criticisms of Adam Booth, you know, his fight style that he teaches and the technical deficiencies that his fighters seem to have. But in terms of a manager, I believe there are very few managers in the game as good as Adam Booth. Adam Booth is a tremendous manager. All right, he's a tremendous manager. I've been very impressed with the way that he's handled David Hayes' career and especially George Groves' career. I think he's managed George Groves tremendously in terms of picking his fights and all that kind of thing. Tremendous management. So I think Adam Booth is an excellent manager, and I would love to see Anthony Joshua be managed by Adam Booth, but just trained by someone else. Now, I said a long time ago, I did a video about I did a few videos on my old channel about Anthony Joshua. You can go back on my old channel, the videos are still up. And basically I said at the time, and this was back in I think 2011, I believe it was 2011, maybe early 2012 when I said this. And remember at the time, Fury was unbeaten, he's still unbeaten now, and David Price was unbeaten back then. And I said at that time that Anthony Joshua was a better prospect than David Price and Tyson Fury. And a lot of people, especially the Price fans, were on my case. They were saying, how the hell can you say that? He's just still an amateur, blah, 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 making all these excuses. I thought I explained it pretty well in the video, why I thought Anthony Joshua, even though he was still an amateur, was a better prospect than David Price, especially. And I think people are going to start to, I mean, after what's happened in David Price's career lately, I think people are going to start to come around to my way of thinking and understand why I said that all the way back, you know, over a year ago when Price was still unbeaten. I was saying, you know what? Joshua's a better prospect than this David Price guy. Because if you look at what Anthony Joshua was able to achieve in his amateur career in such a short space of time, and then compare it to what David Price achieved in his amateur career, I mean, Joshua was able to achieve more than Price, way more than David Price did, in a fraction of the time. All right, and I know there's some controversy about, you know, one or two of the wins that Anthony Joshua had in the Olympics. A lot of people thought that Erislandy Savon beat him. I thought that Erislandy Savon beat him. And there was a little bit of controversy about his win over Camarelli in the final. Regardless of those things, all right, he went into the Olympics. I mean, you have to understand, when Anthony Joshua fought in the Olympics, he'd only been boxing, I think, 3.5 years. 3.5 years prior to the Olympics, this guy had never laced on a pair of gloves in his life. All right, he wasn't even a big boxing fan 3.5 years before the Olympics. So in 3.5 years, this guy managed to achieve all that. It's hard to even get to the Olympics, folks. Mike Tyson never even managed to qualify for the Olympics. All right, and Mike Tyson, like Anthony Joshua, was a guy who had very little amateur experience, you know, before he turned professional, and he had very little amateur experience when he was trying to qualify for the Olympics. You know, Tyson got beat twice by Henry Tillman in the Olympic box office, never made it to the Olympics. All right, you got to be good just to even get into the Olympics. All right, so for Anthony Joshua to actually qualify for the Olympics after only 3.5 years was an amazing achievement in itself. Right, never mind to actually, you know, go in there and get a gold medal, although albeit controversially. But you know, before that, the year before the Olympics, he fought in the World Championships, and he fought Roberto Camarelli for the first time in the World Championships, and he beat Camarelli much more convincingly than he did in the Olympics. And that's the first thing that really, you know, perked my attention to Anthony Joshua, because I was thinking, wow, if this kid has only been, at the time, he'd only been amateur like 2.5 years or something like that, 3 years. If this kid has got such little experience and he's going in with the best amateur in the world and he's beating him and having no respect for him, then that shows the mentality that you know, that Anthony Joshua had. That shows his mentality. You know what I mean? That shows the fact that he's naturally confident. He's got natural inner self-belief. And these are the things that you look for. Yeah, Anthony Joshua is still rough around the edges. He still has a lot of technical problems. Savon definitely beat him. But Savon was a guy who's way more experienced than Anthony Joshua. Right? Probably had 3 times as many amateur fights. And he's a Cuban. So he's way more technically gifted. He's had a much longer career, much more experienced than Anthony Joshua was. Right? So, yeah, losing to Savon to me is no disgrace and it's nothing worrying. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't freeze against Savon. You know what I mean? He tried his best, but he just couldn't. You know what I mean? He couldn't deal with Savon's slippery skills and his experience and all those kind of things. And that's fine. When you get a raw talent, you don't expect him to be the finished article when he's only been boxing 3.5 years. Right? But what you have in him is a guy who has the right mentality and the athleticism and the power to take it to the next level. All right? As long as he's brought along by the right trainer and the right management and he has the right team around him, he has the potential to be the best heavyweight in the UK. And I saw that from way back. You know, when I saw him in the World Championships, I thought, you know, this guy's going to be better than Price and Fury. You know, if he's brought along the right way, he's going to be way better than Price, especially Price. So, yeah, you know, let's just see how his professional career goes now that he's decided to turn over. I'm very interested to see how it goes. But a little side note, the guy who he faced, the Cuban that he faced, Erislandy Savon, I would love to see him turn professional. Now, I don't know whether he will. His relative, I'm not sure if it's his uncle or his father, Felix Savon, he obviously never did turn professional. He was a tremendous amateur. He never turned professional. So I don't know whether Erislandy's going to take after that and not turn professional as well. I don't know. But I'd love to see him turn professional because he had beautiful skills, you know, in the Olympics. I would love to see him, you know, turn professional. But that remains to be seen. You know, it's easier said than done when you're living in Cuba to just, you know, defect from the country and, you know, never see your family or a lot of your family members ever again. It's not an easy decision to make. But just as a selfish boxing fan, I would love to see Erislandy Savon turn professional. I think he'd be, you know, make a tremendous professional. But anyway, yeah, so Anthony Joshua turned professional, signed with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. I think this is a great thing for not even just British boxing, but world boxing, you know. He's an athletic kid. He's powerful. I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen a lot of Anthony Joshua fights. I think he might be naturally left-handed. He's an orthodox fighter, but I think he might be naturally left-handed because he seems to favor his left hook quite a lot. He's a guy who, he doesn't have particularly long arms for his height. His arms are obviously fairly long because he's a tall guy. He's 6'6", but he don't have Lennox Lewis type arms. You know, he's got more compact arms, and because of that, he's able to throw much tighter, crisper hooks. All right. And like I said, he does like his left hook. I've seen him knock a lot of guys out in amateurs with a left hook. So, you know, that's just a little side note there. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There could be, you know, possible fight down the road with Derek Chisora. He used to be, they used to train in the same amateur gym in Finchley. That's a possible fight there. I don't know how much rivalry there is between those two. You know, spiteful sparring sessions and all that. Probably, you know, less than 10 fights into his pro career, they might put him in with Audley Harrison. Who knows? He needs to be guided the right way. He needs to be brought around the right way. He don't need to be hyped up and, you know, given an inflated ego and make him feel better than he actually is. He needs to be brought along the right way. That's why I feel that Adam Booth would be a great manager for Anthony Joshua. I think he'd be the perfect man for the job. So anyway, let me stop procrastinating. This video's long enough. Let me know how you feel about this fight. This fight even. Let me know how you feel about this fighter. Let me know what you feel about his amateur career. How do you think he can do in the pro game? Like I said, me personally, I think he's better than David Price. Tyson Fury's improved a lot, but I said from day one, this Joshua guy is definitely better than Price. You know, just his mentality alone is just is right. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about this guy. This is Hatman. I'm out.